What is going on, trainers? I know we all love Kardmi, but today we've got some things to talk about as a community, and it's things that I kind of worry about with the game. Um, I'm not sure the way things are for Kardmi right now is sustainable, and I think Seven Pirates are really going to have to start looking at themselves and having a conversation about what kind of game do they want to be? What kind of game are they trying to make? Are they trying to make a small niche mobile game that people talk about, small community talks about, or are they trying to make a more mainstream game and dominate the mobile market? Because there is a mobile market, a mobile taste for Monster Hunter games. So they're going to have to decide which one they want to be. But what the heck am I talking about? What's this drama? What's so important that I, pull you guys in on a Friday afternoon and talk about coordinating? Let's get into it. So, I have a very direct question for everybody, and I would love to hear you guys' answers in the comments. Are you still playing Kardmi, or are you burnt out and taking a break? I typically normally only play mobile games for maybe a couple weeks at a time. Rarely ever a month. I don't think I've ever played a mobile game for more than like 4 weeks in a row. This is my fourth month on Kardmi, and now I'm seeing some things in the community that are making me think that people are getting burnt out. And I want to start out with a couple of good things. I think Kardmi does exceptionally well. The narrative design is stellar. It's one of the best narrative designs for any mobile game I've ever played. And definitely, I think, the best the best narrative designed Monster Hunter game I've ever played, or Monster Collector game I've ever played. Pokemon has nothing on this. Like, I've said that, and I'm not going to dive too deeply down this rabbit hole when it comes to Pokemon and Kardmi comparing them. But I have this fundamental belief that Pokemon is not the best monster collector game out there. It was just the first. I feel like if you had put Kardmi in Pokemon's position back in the day, Nintendo's position back in the day, they would have succeeded too. Honestly, if they were the first ones to do it. The story is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. The cutscenes are beautiful. And this is, I'm going to break this video kind of down into 3 parts. Early game, mid game, late game. And the problem is, I'm seeing it now in Season 2. They throw a bunch of stuff at you, a bunch of new content in the early game and early to mid game, right? You're getting, you're getting new Kardmi, you're getting new story, you're getting a lot of new cutscenes that are really engaging and really entertaining, and it's really making you wonder, hey, well, what's going on with this story? Hey, these new Kardmi are cool. And that's another thing, in addition to the story that they do really well, is they flip their assets really well, and they design new Kardmi really well. Even the ones, like I said, that are flipped assets look really good, and they function really good. And then as you get into the mid-game, you still have a ton of content. You have, for example, we have Moonshack Town, and a new arena with a new puzzle. And admittedly, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the puzzle. You have a whole new island where the bulk of your new Kardmi are. And that's awesome. That's a ton of content. But just like with Season 1, I find that once you're about to defeat the arena, once you're at the point where you can defeat the arena on Island 2, you're kind of entering this, you're leaving the oasis of new content, and you're going back out of the desert, if that makes any sense. Because when I look at Kimu in town, there's one new Kardmi to catch there, and it's Sparkfowl. I'm not super excited to go to that island and do everything I did in the last season again, just to unlock Sparkfowl. Again, I'm really excited for the story. I'm really excited for that narrative. And that is honestly what is pushing me through, other than, cranking out content for you guys, and I love telling you guys, like making guides and educating you guys about the game and bringing you news for the game. If it weren't for those two things, I don't know how engaged I would be with Kardmi. I love the game, and I say that because I love the game and I want it to succeed. And I know if I'm feeling this way, I'm probably not the only one. So you leave that oasis of content, and then you start to enter the desert. And as you get further and further from the mid game and into the late game, and what should be in game content, you find that there's really nothing to do. The landscape is barren, and that is tragic. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, in Season 1, I passed the time in the end game by capturing ancient Kardmi, going back on an evolving Kardmi that I hadn't caught yet for research purposes, to figure out which Kardmi, maybe there was a hidden gem, maybe there was something that I hadn't caught before that was pretty good, and I just didn't know because I hadn't caught it. In addition to that, obviously, I was also farming for shinies and things like that. But in Season 2, the problem is the seasons are so long, which I don't think the seasons are egregiously long or anything. But the problem is that you're given more than enough time in a season to catch all the shinies that you want, all the alphas that you want, all the ancients that you want. And so what happens when Season 2 rolls around in the mid-game, or the end-game, is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not too Lone Star yet, but I have no desire to hunt any more ancients. I've got all the ones that I want. I'll probably do a little bit, because I think there's like 3 ancients right now that I don't have, and that'll just fill out my collection of ancients. But there's only 3 I don't have. That'll take me, I don't know, 30 minutes to do, maybe. Shinies. There are no more Season 1 shinies that I did not get in Season 1 that I'm going to be hunting for. I got them. Got all the ones that I wanted. And that, while we're talking about shinies, I will say I am proud of the team, because they have taken criticism and they've taken feedback and they've moved away this season from the pinks and the purples, especially the purple color palettes when it comes to shinies. I think maybe I saw just a couple Kardmi that are purple this season, and that's a huge step, and I really appreciate it, because I think the shinies look so much better this season. But listen, fundamentally, the game needs changes, and I'm gonna throw some suggestions out there, get you guys' thoughts. I have a few suggestions that I think, and number 1 comes in the early game. I think they need to kind of spread the new Kardmi out a little bit more. I think they need, I'm not saying flip every asset, because, there's a fine line between creativity and flipping every asset, and once you start flipping every asset, then people can kind of start calling you lazy, or, you're not really designing new Kardmi, which I think you do a phenomenal job at designing the Kardmi that you have in the game. But I do think maybe flip 3 or 4 more per season. Give us 3 or 4 more Kardmi a season, and then spread them out a little bit more. Obviously, you do want, when you introduce a new island, obviously that island is going to be full of Kardmi that have never been there, right? Or that we've never seen. That makes plenty of sense. But when you have a situation where, okay, well, after you reach the 2nd island, there's only 1 new Kardmi on the 3rd island. There's only 1 new Kardmi on the 4th island. And mind you, that you've already caught the other Kardmi on these islands that you want. Mind you that you're probably going to end up leveling up Kardmi from previous seasons in your PC just to help pass the time and have other Kardmi to rotate out into and to kind of play test and to do PvP and stuff like that. But that's another thing. The having to re-level our Kardmi every season, I I knew it was coming, and I wasn't opposed to it until it happened. And now that I got my hands on it, I just feel like it's a chore. It's a chore to re-level everything. And I know they gave us some currency in the early game to help alleviate that leveling system early on. The problem is, I feel like that helped a lot of people, returning players, skip the early game entirely and then jumped right into the mid game. And I think that's why people are burning out as quickly as they are. Because let's not forget, season 2 has not been out that long. It's been out less than a month. And people are already kind of dropping off and not playing as much. So my suggestion would be something like signature partners. We have the new affinity system. Maybe if we had a system where we could take certain partners and through our bond with them, they could stay evolved. They could stay specific. Well, I don't know how that would work unless you rework the command system so that you can't use level 100s to start the game next season. It's just an idea, something that we don't have to re-level every single card in our PC every season. My idea is definitely not perfect. Like I just said, as I said it out loud, I realized, hey, that would kind of wreck the early and the mid game because you just steamroll everything. Obviously, you can't have that. So, perhaps rework the command system so that these higher level card that you have in your inventory you can't use until you get to the end game. And just something I wanted to pitch. And then another thing I wanted to throw out is the shinies. As I suggested, season 1, obviously you pretty much caught all the shinies that you want from season 1. There are going to be new shinies from season 2 that you obviously haven't seen before. But once you catch those as well, you're kind of like, well, I've got all the shinies that I want, now what do I do? And I feel like what would be cool is, like, say in season 1, say you caught a shiny fire flare. Well, obviously you're not going to be hunting a shiny fire flare at season 2. You've already got one. It would be cool if they would bring out another variation, such as like Temtem does. They have like the Umbras, which are like the dark variants, like the dark purples and shadowy auras. It would be cool if we kind of got something like that, a new variant of a shiny to catch, but they only spawn if you've already caught a shiny of that Kardmi, if that makes any sense. That way, you kind of got something additional to chase. And one of the last things I want to talk about is the legendaries. The legendaries at this point in the game don't feel legendary. They feel exclusive, which I guess is the point of their title. They're either called limited or exclusive. I can't remember. I think it's limited. And that's because we can only get them during their events. However, their events are extremely easy. I don't have a problem with them only spawning during their events. My problem is that the events are extremely easy. Example, and I'm sure many other people in the comments now can tell me the same thing. I caught Manatic on my very first day of Season 2. Now, going back to the command, I couldn't really use him unless I just wanted to have like him and one other Kardmi on my team. And now, obviously, that's highly inconvenient. But, bottom line is I caught one of the 3 seasonal Kardmi on my very first day. And that just shouldn't be possible. Like, I know, like, the new generation, like, we just want instant gratification, We don't have patience. But when it comes to Legendary Kardmi and feeling that sense of reward, it would be so much more rewarding if this was an in-game activity. If you had to complete the campaign, or if you had to at least make it to Lone Star Town to trigger these events, to take part in these events, that would be huge. And that would be something for more in-game players to look forward to, because then all of a sudden, obviously these legendaries, they're not going to have the shinies from previous seasons, so then you give them additional shinies to hunt every season, because, and they can hunt them now, but it's just too easy. They can do it well before the end game. I just think like these changes that I'm suggesting, and I have more that I'm sure I'll think about. And again, my ideas are not perfect. That's why I like to hear from feedback from you guys. I'm just trying to add longevity and life to the game, and everything that I've said in this video or any other video that criticizes Kardmi is from a place of love because I want to see the game succeed. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Love to hear if maybe I'm overreacting, if you guys are still playing the game, what you guys are thinking about it. And if you found this video useful, make sure you smash that like button. It really, really helps the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next one.